You're like, what are we doing?
I just show up and
yeah.
we go from there.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to do it. So
You think this is a Drinking Bros podcast or something?
not yet. So
Yeah. So our title today is going to be The Power of Community, Overcoming Life's Storms Together. You hit record.
I did.
Right. Welcome back to Embrace the Storm, everybody. We are back with another episode. This light makes my hair look a little shiny. That's okay. 1950s, here we come.
Change the lighting.
Yeah, it's okay.
All right.
It's okay. I played with it a little bit already while you were in the bathroom.
Okay.
Today we are talking about community. And the reason why we're talking about community, and I'm reading notes off my phone if you see me look down, is because Jer wanted to talk about something I posted on my Instagram. And it spawned this idea of community for me. And so on my Instagram, I've been posting that it's day 3, I'm a liar. Day 4, I'm a liar. Whatever. Day 5, etc. What I mean by I'm a liar is what Jared and I have talked about on this podcast, probably a lot at this point, is sometimes you have to lie to yourself. And so I'm back in the gym. I'm happy to say I'm back getting my stuff together because at the beginning of the year, if you go back and listen, I told you and our 2 listeners that I refuse to leave 2024 the same man that I went into it. And here we are in November. I had slipped off, like we talked about last podcast.
Yep.
And I decided to get my crap together, and I refuse to leave 2024 the same man. So I have been lying to myself about I just have to get out of bed. My alarm goes up, I just have to get up. That's it. And then it's, you just put your gym clothes on. That's it. And it's, you just go sit in your car. That's it. And I do that all the way to the gym. All the way up to putting my headphones on and getting into the first exercise in my program for the day.
Right.
Right? And then once I get, let's be real, once I'm in it, I'm happy I did it, happy I'm there, all that good stuff. Hate the work. Because we've talked about it before. I like the benefits of working out. I don't actually like the working out. I know some people do. You're one of them. I get into it. Don't get me wrong. I like sweating. I like feeling the burn. I like something I've been doing a lot lately because I've been reading on it and listening on it is this idea of really tuning into the muscle group you're working.
Yeah.
While you're doing whatever the exercise is. So I enjoy focusing on that. But anyways, I've been lying to myself for a week now on this new program, enjoying it tremendously. Shout out to Hard to Kill Fitness. You can check them out on the internet if you so wish. And you had suggested we talk about that, and I was like, yeah, but we've talked about that a ton already.
True enough.
But one of the things that came out of that was this idea of community, because the reason why I've got my crap back together and I'm back on the bandwagon of not being the same as we leave 24 is I have some great people in my life. I've got you, Jer. I've got my friend in Florida. I've got a friend in Winnipeg. I've actually got a couple friends in Florida. I've got my wife. She's been poking me. You're paying for a gym membership, and you're not going. What's going on? I've got all these amazing humans in my life.
Yeah.
Who are all doing big things, great things, in every area of life, in multiple areas of life, right? They're not just going to the gym and eating right. They're also doing really great in their careers, doing really good with their home life, all these things, right? And I'm a couple of things. One, I don't want to get left behind.
Right.
Number 2, I have worked, this is going to sound weird, but I've worked really hard to surround myself with good people, And I'm doing a disservice to myself by not being part of those great people, right? I'm kind of, at the time I was kind of sidelined, right? I kind of became a spectator inside my own life, kind of like we were talking about last podcast about being a non-action character in your life.
Right. Yep.
And I never want that again. So here we are.
I think, like you said, surrounding yourself with good people is on paper or whatever, on the surface, it sounds like, oh, just do it. It's not that hard. But
Right.
in all honesty, though, it's taken me. I set that out about 3 years ago.
Mhm.
Is I want to just surround myself with better people. Like
Yep.
that's kind of been my goal, right? And so as I've looked at it,
Pause. Did you actually think that to yourself?
oh yeah, yeah, no,
Like,
this
I
was
have a goal of surrounding myself with some really great people.
100%. This
Okay.
was something I was very intentional about.
Okay.
I've heard that how many times? Is who are your top 5 people that are around you? Right?
You're
Who you surround
you're
yourself
gonna be
with?
the sixth kind of idea. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I need to surround myself with better people,
Mm-hmm.
and so intentionally, I guess,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, who do I know, right? And the interesting thing is, a lot of as I was not that I was fully intentional on it or fully
Yeah.
engaged in it, but as I was kind of like, it was always there, right? And also people that I know that didn't have the same goals, people that didn't have the same drive and or determination, or didn't have the
Yeah.
same, didn't care in the same way or about the same things. I kind of started losing touch with them. I kind of, and not
naturally.
just naturally. Like it's not like I'm like, oh, they're into this, so I'm not. That's not where I want to go. It's like, no, it's just like, you know what, we just started just drifting away, and not that anything bad happened, right? We
Like
still
you
talk.
still, yeah, you still
Well,
say
no,
hi.
yeah, absolutely, right? It's not that no bridges are burned, no nothing bad necessarily, right?
Yeah.
So, but then what I also noticed is who's surrounding me, right? And who I'm gravitating towards. And even there, I'm not quite everywhere where I want to be yet with that, but definitely a lot further. And then just also with that, now you're elevating your standards, right? Because now you're not having a McDonald's standard
Yeah.
and whatever the keg at the same time, right?
Yeah,
You're gonna have two; those are two different standards, right? And
Yeah.
then the keg versus 420, like so, you know, there's different standards in life that you're gonna have, and I just
So
I
do
think
you have an example then of uh, one of these times where maybe you surrounded yourself with the right person in the moment and they helped you hold a better standard?
yeah, like the guys I
Putting you on the spot here.
yeah, no, the guys I do a fair bit of work with as well. Um, we formulated, I've talked about this. We have our 3 guys that we get together, right?
Yes.
And just even even now, we were talking this last week or so, and our conversation was like, hey, we want to start doing this, this, and this.
Yep.
And as I sat there, I realized that I'm kind of like what you're saying is I'm not positioned in the right place to take advantage of some of these opportunities that are there.
Yes.
Right? And so I know that, and I recognize that, right? And I was like, well, this has to change, right? And so it's like, okay, so immediately after I left there, it was like, okay, I need to make different connections, right? So
I love this.
bang, 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 and I started connecting with different people. I joined like a bunch of different like groups, you know, on Facebook. I haven't really done a whole lot with them, but like because it just happened, right? But in my head, I'm like, I need to make different connections. So I started calling people like, hey, you know this guy, right?
Yeah.
Would you be able to do me a favor, just introduce me to them? Because
Yeah.
talk to them, right? And so
how'd that go?
well, yeah, they're gonna do it, right? So, but I haven't had like now it's just figure out schedules, right? But in my head, I'm like, I need to get better connections. I need to get better, right? Because that's how we contribute. Like I know what my strengths are, and I know my weaknesses, and so and then the cool thing about this group is, like we all kind of have different uniquenesses, right, and different strengths that together, like we're actually very complementary of one another. And yet we can really do a lot, right? So
I love that.
So the cool thing is like, okay, how do we do this, right? And
you're holding each other to a higher standard in different areas, kind of thing, because you each have your own thing.
Yeah, and they complement each other, right? So so right away, and I didn't tell them I was doing this, and I didn't even say that I was doing this, but in my head I was like, I need to go do this. And so right away, I like, okay, how do I do this? I need to add value to in a different way to this. And so I figured out, okay, this person knows the answer to those questions. So like bang, got them answers, got them right, and right, and they never said anything wrong. Like but in my head I was like, I need to be better. I need to do this. I need to.
It's
right?
interesting how many times you have conversation with a good friend or friends.
Yeah.
And the conversation can be completely different than what's going on in your head sometimes. But just what's being talked about triggers something inside of you, and you're like, yep, that's like a soul thing where I need to do better at that.
Well, I think some of it was maybe I got a little bit complacent.
Okay.
Right? Like, and
Yeah. You little sideline on yourself.
yeah, and I let life get in the way and distract me from some of these things, and it's like,
Yeah.
and like I said, they never even talked about this, but in my head I was like, I dropped the ball here.
Yeah.
Right? And so I have.
Is it the idea that was it a little bit of I could be doing more? Was that?
Oh, absolutely,
yeah.
right. But it also made me rethink about like I haven't been doing enough.
Yeah.
Like, and I haven't been doing what I was doing in the past, so I kind of just I've been sat back, not intentionally.
Yeah.
And there's different reasons for it because they also weren't ready to go into the next stuff at that point either. So maybe we all together did, but it's like, okay, no, let's gear up. Let's make this count. Let's get a little bit more aggressive with that, right? So
Yeah. Do you think I'm just following some
Yeah.
notes I made, but do you think that two things here? It's kind of a two-part question. Part number one is, do you think you would have gotten there on your own? Like this particular situation you're talking about here. Do you think you would have eventually gotten to the I need to be doing more, I need to get back on this? Or did you need that community of guys?
I think it's the conversations that you have with these guys, right? Like it's the conversation that you're having with people that
Yeah.
strike like different thought patterns, different thought ideas, different things, right?
Yeah.
I've done it enough times where on my own, like if I'm working on myself personally, I can figure some stuff out on my own.
Yeah.
But sometimes hearing the conversation of like what the need is, what's going on, it's like, wait, I should be doing that. And it just and inside you know, right? Like nobody's has to write the book on it. You already know.
You already know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think, like, transitioning a little bit, but we've both been through some hard stuff.
Yeah.
In our own right. Did you have community with some of that hard stuff? Did you have a good group of men around you at a time when things were tough?
Usually when things get tough, my initial reaction is just go inward and just shut everybody out, deal with it, and figure it out, and then.
Would you do that now? Knowing what you know?
Sadly, probably still would revert back to that because it's easy. It's easier for me to figure that out and go back into it, right?
Yeah.
Either there, like I've had some stuff happen, like this last week that I still haven't told anybody about because
we're gonna have to talk about it. Not on podcast.
But it's just I just internalize it, like figure through it, and I was able to get through it. But it's something that I feel like I had to deal with on my own, and I just and yeah, I think it's one of those things as that's usually our go-to.
100%.
And it's just like I'll figure it out. And
Well, we were talking about with me on the last podcast, right?
Yeah.
We're super good at making ourselves an island.
Yeah.
Because no other guy has had this problem before.
Yeah.
No one else has ever gone through this before.
Yeah.
I got to figure it out on my own.
Well, it's just easier that way than we're not bothered because then I'm not bothering anybody either, right?
Which is complete crap. But
that's
and that's why I'm saying it the way I'm saying it, because it's complete crap, and we know it.
Yeah.
And we know it. Like in the middle of it, we know.
Oh yeah.
It's garbage. But we still do it.
Yeah.
And that's part of this podcast, is trying to help men break out of that cycle.
Absolutely.
And trying to do it themselves. And as you can tell, we're flawed.
Yeah.
We don't have it figured out. That's part of the journey. But nobody has to be an addict. Nobody should be an addict.
Well, exactly.
So you end up doing some hard things by yourself, partially because you're an idiot, partially because at the time I was kind of asking a leading question because I know the answer. You did have a couple of good guys in your life.
Yeah.
Singularly, but you didn't have a group.
Right.
Like now you would say that you've got a couple of groups of guys.
Right.
You know.
Well, most of the people that have those two that were kind of all three of us there.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's just individuals like you.
Yeah.
And
but you could shoot out 3 text messages to 6 guys kind of thing pretty quick today,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where a couple years ago you couldn't have. Like you didn't have those sorts of connections.
No, and even there, the connections I would have had, the solution would have been like, hey, let's go grab a drink, and hey, let's go. Who cares? Let's whatever, right? And
So that's
not challenge me. Yeah.
I kind of laugh, but only because it's 100% true. What makes me laugh even harder about it though is how wild is it that your life has come so far.
Yeah.
That now the men in your life, and I'm going on a limb because I know I'm one of those men. We'd rather sit down and have a coffee and talk things out, and either come up with solutions or simply be there.
Yeah.
But either way, sit down and have a cup of coffee versus, hey, dude, let's go have a drink and
Even
whatever.
they're going to have a drink is one thing. Going to have like, okay, we're going to do
Several.
but we're not going to go tie one on, right?
Yeah.
And have a night to forget, right? Like,
yeah.
It's like, there's just.
Well, yeah. Again, going for a coffee, going for a drink.
Yeah.
Like, let's sit and have a whiskey and talk this out.
Yeah.
Right? It's not several.
Yeah, we don't need to go get regrets.
Well, and let's be real, nothing good happens after 10 o'clock. And I want to be in bed. Yeah, we are marching in that direction.
Yeah.
But, part of the problem is we don't see each other enough. So then we end up talking for a bit before we hit record. And then every single time I'm like, we should really be recording some of this because it's really good.
Yeah. But some of it's like, we can't really record that.
That's right. That's right. It's too personal.
Yeah.
On this community thing, though, because you've done, and I feel like I'm doing kind of a quasi interview here, but because you've done so much work on yourself, we've done work on ourselves. What do you think are some things? I've got some ideas, but what do you think are some things to sort of cultivate those new relationships? And I think it'll be interesting to have this conversation because you said not 5 minutes ago that you really had a goal in mind to surround yourself with better people. I never did. I never verbalized that I wanted better people in my life as a goal. But man, did I want better people in my life.
I think you got to start off with who, what, not maybe not who, or maybe it is who, but what type of people do you want in your life? Just because if it's just better people, what's that mean?
Fair.
Right? Like you got to be.
Are they better at drinking than I am?
Yeah. Right? You figure it's got to be intentional, right? Like there has to be a purpose with it. There has to be something, and then and be specific, right? What does the ideal friend or person you want in your life have? Well, for me, it's are they authentic? Are they being real when they're talking to me? Yeah. Are they goal driven? Are they motivated? Are
we pushing forward?
Are they growing? Are they do they want better? Do they want like where are they at, right? Those are the things that kind of motivate me, right? And that's what I was looking for. I was very intentional with finding those type of people. And so when you start thinking about, well, how do you find them? Well, first of all, you got to figure out who you're looking for. Yeah. And then you start paying attention. Okay, who do I know? Or who do I know that knows something like that, right? And often you go look at businessmen, entrepreneurs, and those kind of people. Like they seem to have that. Well, if you want to be driven, entrepreneurs are going to be driven, right? So,
dude, I think that I want to keep going on something else here, but just to pause for a second, I think even if you're not entrepreneurial, even if you don't want to have your own business, I think your point is a great one. Is look at some of the entrepreneurs that are around you, or that you know, or could know, because you're 100% right. They're typically driven. They're typically pushing forward. Like Joe Rogan calls them, they're not remember when friends. Yeah. And I think that. Yeah. I think that for me, I inherently knew I didn't want to be a remember when guy. And I didn't want to look back on my life and just have a bunch of remember when friends. Yeah. That every time you got together, you were talking about what happened in high school and that one time.
Remember when this happened.
Exactly.
Remember when we
Exactly. Yeah. Right? And so, for me, and I have something I'm going to come back to and tie it back into to what you were saying. But for me, it was just inherent inside of me. I never verbalized it. I never thought, okay, I need to go out and find these people. I simply knew deep down that I wanted better people around me.
Right.
And when I say better, driven, moving forward, doing bigger money than me, doing bigger fitness than me, doing bigger than me in every area. And what I found was, I truly believe this, that God put certain people in my life at the right time.
Right.
You know, and we were talking about some of them before the podcast. Some you know, some you don't. You know, yourself and my friend Amanda, my friend Mark, my friend TJ, like all these people, although my friend TJ has been there forever. But some of these people came into my life more recent.
Right.
Right? Like technically in terms of time, you're fairly recent.
Yeah.
What have we been friends on? 2 years?
2, 3, yeah. Something.
Yeah. Maybe 3?
Something.
In a good way, it seems way longer.
Right.
But my point is that I really feel like God knew what was on my heart. I put the right people in my life at the right time, and it was who I needed.
Well, is it that or well, yeah, that too? But don't, I'm sorry, not trying to discount. But also you had an intention of who you wanted, right?
Yeah.
Even if you didn't verbalize it, you knew.
But for example, okay, so my friend Amanda, because you know her from her Instagram.
Yeah.
We were in a coaching group together, and this coaching group had hundreds of people in it. I ended up connecting with her. Quite frankly, I don't even remember how, but we connected, and we just instantly hit it off and became really good friends.
Right.
And to this day, she's one of my greatest friends. I've never met her in person.
Yeah.
I love her to death. She's amazing. She's encouraging. She whoops my butt when I need it. Like,
yeah.
You know, and so I love her for that. But I didn't go, Amanda's who I'm looking for. You know, like I didn't see her and go, I want to be friends with her.
No, but when you found that, you like, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
you recognized it, right? So
same thing with one of my mentors. His name's Jim Riley. We met in the same group, him and I. Has done and will continue to do bigger things than me. But same thing, just something about him, right?
Yeah.
But I was like, I need to know Jim. And I got to know him a little bit, and I was part of his coaching group for a little bit because he started his own coaching group.
Right.
And quite frankly, if I could, I'd like to be part of it again. Just timing wise, it doesn't line up.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like when you see it, you gravitate towards it, or you collect it, or however you want to talk about that.
Yeah.
I think that's really good. For you, like you went out of your way to find these people.
I know that I went out of my way. I knew what I was looking for, so that when I saw it, like same thing, but like I wanted this, right?
Yeah.
And I knew what I wanted. So when I saw it, it's like, okay, good. Now try to build the connection with them, right?
You've had a couple of people though, both for business and personal, where you specifically wanted to connect with them.
Yeah.
You wanted to be in their sphere.
Yeah.
And you have gone, in a good way, you've gone out of your way to make those connections happen.
Absolutely.
And I think that is awesome, because I don't think that, I'm just trying to put this together here, and I just realized we're on the air. But I think there's something to be said for, I need to know X person, and figuring out a way to get inside their sphere.
Yeah. Well, even like I said, like I recognized I dropped the ball a little bit, so I need to increase my sphere, right? So wait, that person, I know who they are, but I don't have a direct connection to. Now I could go up to them and talk to them, and then they're like, "Who's this weird dude coming?" Right?
Yeah.
Versus, I get somebody else to do an introduction now. Like,
You have that one.
Yeah. So now it's all different. Like now we have something similar to talk about, and we can go from there, right? So
yeah, you know Mike, I know Mike. Let's talk about Mike.
Yeah.
And then also, what do you do? How are you? What's that? Right. Totally.
Yeah, and he'll know what I'm coming for, and I'm not gonna hide. Like, just say, hey, look, I want to get to know. Like, This is what
I wanted to connect with you because of these reasons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and upfront and honest about it. And it's whatever.
You know what's been interesting to me, and this is a tangent from my notes. I mean, what else is new? But I think early in my journey when I made the conscious decision, this is where the conscious decision for me came in.
Okay.
Where I was like, I'm not going to be the dude that makes X dollar figure a year, works 9 to 5, and just calls it a day. You know, kind of like we were talking last podcast with quietly walking towards the grave. Right? And where was I going with that? My brain just flashed to who said that quote. But that consciously I made the decision. And when I did start looking for mentors.
Right.
Business mentors and things. The interesting thing is the couple of people that I half-heartedly approached weren't interested. Locally. Because I kind of picked out a couple of people locally where I was like, I could learn from these men.
Yeah.
And they weren't interested. And younger me, because this is a long time ago, younger me was hurt. I was like, screw these guys.
Right.
Like, I'm a young buck. I'm willing to sweep floors and like listen to everything they have to say and like, show up. You know? Which, by the way, you know, a decade later, it's still my attitude. Like, I'll show up and do the work. So I went online. And I started following people who I wanted a piece of. You know? Whether it be their money, their fitness, their home life. I went online and I started following these people and treating them like I knew them, quote unquote, as my mentors. Because no one locally seemed to want to sow into me. And so that's how I kind of ended up online. Paying for courses, watching YouTube videos, and treating all of those things like my mentors.
Yeah, I think there's value in that. Absolutely. I think learning as much as you can, that's not a bad thing. But to have a mentor that you can actually go and talk about real life situations, that's a different.
100%.
That's a lot different, right? Because those things work for a lot of the generic or for their specific issue, not yours. Like what happens in Miami doesn't happen in Winnipeg, right?
Yeah.
So
could you imagine real estate coach from Miami trying to talk?
Well, even from the States, well, they have way different rules than we have here, right? So
I know listening to some of that real estate stuff down in the States is interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's the Wild West down there compared to here.
We can't do the same things that they're doing, right? So so they're, well, just do that. But, well, yeah. But
I can't legally do that here.
Yeah, I have a license to worry about, so I don't want to do that, right? So, but to have somebody here that is actually worth something, that actually is willing to, it holds a lot more value, I think.
I would still love to find that guy.
Yeah.
I would like to find an older gentleman. Doesn't have to be old, but older.
Yeah.
Because he needs to be ahead of me.
Yeah.
I'd love to find an older gentleman that, you know, has his stuff together. And not just in one area, but like, you know, loving family and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and they could mentor me for sure. And whether that's paid, whether that's working, whether that's just because he's a good man and wants to mentor a younger dude.
Yeah.
I'm still into that. I'm still looking for that. But not actively. Because I did get burned early on as a younger guy.
Right.
And I'm not saying that just because I got burned, I shouldn't do it. That's not what I'm saying. I went in a different direction. And so I'm not hunting.
Well, maybe even there, maybe part of the issue we're calling you out a little bit is putting your pride aside and letting it and looking at it, right? Because
that's an interesting thought. Because I was listening to a podcast on the way here. Jim, the gentleman I just mentioned, he has a podcast with a good friend and fellow coach called the Yes Podcast, and it stands for Young Entrepreneurs Syndicate. And he was talking about how he just got his real estate license. They're in Kalispell, Montana.
Okay.
He just got his real estate license, and he was talking about, like, I just got my first listing, and I just got to do my first offer on someone buying, like something else on the
Right.
other side. So he's like, it's first on both sides. And I was thinking about that. Jim is an older man, older than we are,
Right.
and he's accomplished a tremendous amount in his career. And now he's starting at the bottom in
Right.
an industry. Pardon me. He's never been a part of. He's never done this before. The amount of ego, and Jim is an awesome dude. I know that his ego is easily checked.
Right.
But the amount of ego that needs to be put aside to go, hey, I don't know anything, when he's accomplished so much.
Right.
Like, it's funny you mentioned that, because I was thinking about all of that on the drive over here to do this tonight. It's an interesting idea. So then the question is, and this actually goes back to our notes, so we're tied back.
Yeah.
Here we go, coming back around to the actual structure of the podcast, is where do people find these people? How do you go about cultivating this?
Well, it depends on who you're looking for, right? If you're looking for a drinking buddy, you go to the bar. If you're looking for a spiritual leader, you go to the church or wherever, right?
Yeah.
If you're looking for a business leader, you find a business that's interesting, like that you look for. You be intentional about. It comes back to that same thing, right? Is going to where they are. Don't go to the mall and hope to find a drinking buddy, or don't go to don't go somewhere where they're not going to be, right? Go to where they are.
Do you think it's as simple as that?
You start showing up and being there, and you don't have to necessarily know everybody.
Yeah.
But you get to start having conversations. But you're never going to have a conversation with somebody if you're not in the right place.
So for those two listeners that may or may not be local, do you think there's enough good men locally?
I think there are. I think it's challenging. I think some people everybody. I think men generally want to give back to something, but they want to give back to something that is going to have a return.
Yeah.
Like if you're not going to be invested, and so maybe some of those people are testing you to see if you come back.
And maybe younger me didn't see that. Younger me didn't buy in. Whatever.
But how much invested are you, right? So if you got rejected once and you just turned away, well, you obviously didn't care that much.
Yeah.
So they made the right decision.
Whatever, but younger me was dumb. Okay.
But like if you're gonna want it, like I'm kind of the same way. If somebody's coming to talk to me, oh here, go do this, right?
Yeah.
And if they come talk to me again and they still haven't done the first thing, like, why am I wasting my time with you, right? Like.
Well, you know who Pedro Schooling is. I know you don't follow him a crazy amount, but his whole thing is his coaching is $100,000. I don't know for what time frame.
Okay.
His coaching is $100,000, and he literally will skip your call if you haven't done the homework. Yeah. Because he's like, why are we wasting each other's time if you haven't done the homework I gave you from last time?
Yeah.
So, I think that's fair. So that covers off mentors. Let's talk a little community here, because that's sort of the title of the podcast. While you were talking about mentors, I kind of was thinking about this with one of the groups I'm a part of, because I have a group too. There's four of us. Okay. Kind of like your little 3-man group there. So I've got a little 4-man group. I think one of the biggest things to cultivate relationships, and I want to get your thought on this, is time and energy. So my group came out of a larger group from a book study, like a book club, if you will.
Is that the one we met at?
Previous to that.
Okay.
But precursor to that. Yes.
Yeah.
So that gentleman held a book club that I was a part of, and I met a couple of cool guys in that one, and then he held it again, and I met one cool guy in there.
Yeah.
Who's now, he's one of the 4, and then the gentleman there, and then one other guy that we brought in later, kind of thing.
Right.
And what I realized while you were talking about mentorship was, why has this group that I have continued? because that book group was fairly large, but I didn't stay in contact with anybody else.
Right.
Nobody else stayed in contact with me. So what made this different? Time and energy. I made a point to connect with these guys before we had group chats and hung out and stuff, to reach out to them. They took the time to reach out to me. So you build that relationship. And before you know it, you've got a group chat that's wild and fun and uplifting.
Mm-hmm.
And you get together for coffee and drinks and whatever. You start doing life a little bit together.
Right.
Right? So from your point, where do you find community? How do you cultivate that community? Because you've got some of it, I've got some of it.
I feel like broken record. It's just you're just intentional with where you're going to look, right? Like go to where they are.
We're changing the name of this podcast from community to be intentional.
Yeah, but if you go to where they are, and you'll start having that. So that's why I have a little bit of community here with these people, a little bit over here. As these people are here, so I know that. And that's where I want to elevate in that. I want to elevate in that area. And these people are here. Well, I want to elevate in that area as well, right?
Yes.
So it's not all the same people are not there to elevate me in every aspect.
Right.
It's kind of like these people are business and they know business. And they I want to know from them. These people are spiritual and they're booming in that aspect of life, and I want to know them there, right?
Yeah.
So they're holding me to a high standard in that aspect. These people are in their business. These people are in the gym. These people are, right? So I intentionally found where people were.
How do you make time for all that?
Well, how do you make time to watch Netflix? How do you make time to do so? Like it's.
What is the average screen time on your phone?
What's your priority, right? If you're intention, like if you are time and energy, like you said, right? If you just say you don't have time, well, that's garbage, right? Because there's just that's a lie and not the good kind.
No, not the good kind. Not the good kind.
It's something that you're just not being honest with, right? So if you really want it bad enough, you're gonna figure it out.
I heard it said one time. My face looks interesting. Super close to the camera here. I heard it said one time that we all say we're going to do something, right? We might do it for a week, we might do it for a month, and then we fall off. And like we've talked about, I am chief on that train.
Yeah.
But that just proves that we really didn't want it. And that really got to me. This is recently I heard this. Really got to me. Because I was like, no, mother trucker, I do want it. You know, I'm like talking to my phone, even though it's a video and the guy can't hear me. But it got me thinking, do I really want it? So if the answer is yes, which it is, and want it, I'm saying it ethereally because it can apply to anything that we're talking about.
Yeah.
If I really want it, if that's true, and I'm still falling off, then my time and attention is not where it needs to be, and I've decided to be complacent instead.
Right.
And I'm intentionally using the word decide because we all make decisions minute by minute, day by day, that lead us down a path that if the fruit shows up 90 days later, that can either be positive or negative.
Yeah.
And so I really agree with you. Like, I think that where your time and attention are, where your intentionality is what shows that fruit. And I think everyone can agree we all waste too much time. We all waste too much time.
Yeah.
Even those of us that are trying to push.
Yeah, I think there is, you might disagree with this, but I think there is a point where if all you're doing is pushing, you need to take a break from that too. And
I don't disagree with the sentiment because one of the reasons that I fell off recently, one of, top 3 or 4 reasons, there were a few. One of them though was I was trying to listen to everybody all at once.
Yeah.
Like all these people I follow online and all the programs and all the stuff. I was trying to do it all at once. I was trying to listen to Jeremy and Bob and Joe and like fire hose.
Yeah.
And I basically shut down.
Yeah.
Because it was too much. And everybody I was listening to was saying different things.
Do 4, do 3, do 7, do 1.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Look this way, don't look that way. Blah blah blah. And I just I got exhausted.
Yeah.
And so that was one of, again, 3 or 4 of the reasons why I kind of shut down for a while, was because I was trying to listen to everybody. And so what I decided was I was just going to start listening to myself. Not that I'm not going to take good advice, but everybody has their own slant on things. And so I'm going to choose to listen to a couple of people saying similar things because I got overwhelmed. And I think that, bringing this back to community and mentorship, I think that if you try to start with, I'm going to find a spiritual coach or a mentor, I'm going to find a group that's reading the Bible, I'm going to find a community that's lifting weights together. Like if you try and go out and find a group for all of these things, you're probably going to A, not get out of the starting block, B, get overwhelmed, or C, you're going to try and do it all and still get overwhelmed.
Well, and the difference is, are you trying to find a group for everything, or are you trying to find individuals, right?
Yes. I think both are important.
So even there, like I said, I've been on this for like 3 years or so, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not an overnight thing that just kind of like, oh, like, right? So it's right. Taken time.
Yeah.
And so it's not like everybody just came together at one time and that's it, like, right? It's like, oh, well, just started building this relationship here as I'm doing things. Then all of a sudden, like, well, that one's blossoming. Oh, another one here. Like, and now we're starting to that one. And as those are both going, oh, another one came along. And so it's multifaceted where it's a lot of different, right? And it took time.
And you kind of plug them into your life with time and attention as they come along.
Yeah.
Right? I think what's interesting to me, as you were saying that, I have made, because you were saying 3 years, I feel like I've made more progress in 3 years than I have in 10. And what I mean by that is, I knew by 23 years old that I wanted more. I wanted to do great things. I wanted to give back great things. I wanted to give my family a big life. All the I knew deep down all of these things at that point. And that's kind of where my journey of paying for mentorship and courses started.
Okay.
Specifically learning skill sets. I started learning sales. But we're not going down the remember when rabbit hole here. But I didn't know what I didn't know. And so I was just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something stuck. Doing a little bit of everything.
Right.
Not narrowing in, not going, I need to get to know this person. I need to find this person specifically. And so I spent many years spinning my wheels. It wasn't until later, till I heard someone talk about it a few years ago, probably around the time we met. This idea that find someone doing what you want to do and go all in with them. Right? Now, I haven't necessarily done that because from a financial perspective, that could get pricey for mentorship. But I started honing in on I'm just listening to this small stack of people kind of thing.
Right.
In terms of life mentorship and things like that. Now, to your very valid point, online is great. But there's something about, being able to touch and feel these people.
Yeah.
That you're right, I do need to figure that piece out myself from a mentorship perspective. Because again, I have great friends now that push me. But I think that if you don't have, this is where I was going with this. I think if you don't know where to start, you don't have these people in your life, whether it be mentors or groups of friends, just, first of all, make that decision that you're going to spend some time and energy on meeting new people. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't don't be Jer necessarily, because Jer went, I need to meet this kind of person and this kind of person, right? I think just getting out there, meeting new people. Because I think what I've found for myself is sometimes we get so busy with life, kids, all these things, that we don't leave our house. For better or worse.
No,
right?
Absolutely.
Kind of that hamster wheel. You go to work, you come home, you do your thing, you go to bed, you get up, do it all over again. So just getting out and doing something different. So a prime example of this was a mutual friend of ours invited us to a seminar.
Okay.
You didn't go.
I didn't go.
I actually thought about just stopping here and being like, "Come on, we're going."
I'll be honest. I totally didn't even think about it.
So
Slipped my mind.
I went, not necessarily because I wanted the information of the seminar, which by the way was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I just wanted to meet some new people.
Right.
Because I was kind of sitting, like he invited us and I was like, that is a topic I want to learn more about.
Right.
And I like you. So like, maybe. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, it's been a minute since I put myself out there in a different situation.
Yeah.
To meet different people. So I think that just putting yourself in places, whether it's a new sporting event, a new conference, seminar, something.
Yeah.
To meet new like-minded people, right? Because to your point, I think this is great. To your point, you can go to a show, like a concert, and meet new people. But are they the people you actually want in your life? Right? I love music.
Right. Yeah.
I love music. I love shows. I grew up going to them.
Yeah.
I haven't been to one in a while. I'd love to go. But if you're trying to move forward in life, in business, fitness, all these things, probably not going to be at a show.
Right.
Because the show starts at like 10 o'clock. Just saying. But a seminar that's 8 p.m. on a Tuesday about taxes, which I know sounds riveting.
Yeah.
It was actually quite interesting.
Yeah. No. You guys did a great job.
It was very, very interesting. Met some great people. But my point is that that's a room where you could potentially meet some really good people.
Absolutely.
That are trying to do bigger things. Because who shows up at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday to learn about taxes? People that want to grow.
Yeah. Who else is showing up there, right?
So that's my point. My point is to tie together what I'm saying about time and energy and what you're saying about where are these people. Mesh them together.
Right.
Put some time into different events in different places.
And there's enough groups, even like on Facebook and such, where you can say, "Okay, look, what's actually maybe there's something events happening," or you can just ask questions,
Yep.
and be selective of who you're going to allow to influence you.
This is gonna be fun because I think we have a different thought process.
All right.
What do you think about online groups?
I don't invest a lot into them.
Why?
I'm this. Like I like talking in person.
And you're
Online.
smiling. I'm smiling because I'm baiting you.
Oh, I know. Online, online. You know what? Online, everybody can be whoever they want to be. The chance of them actually being that, right? Like, not that they're lying, but like, I
can lie to you.
You could, yeah. But I know you enough to know, right? So, because I actually see you, and because now I can see your gestures, I can see how you react, I can see your tones, I can see everything. Like read how you're reacting to things and your verbal, non-verbal cues that you give off, right? Online, well, you're getting this, but you're not seeing their hands, you're not seeing the body gestures, you're not seeing their like all the other stuff, right? It's just not authentic as much as in person.
So let's can I paint a scenario for you?
Absolutely.
Let's talk through this. I'd like to challenge you a little bit.
All right.
So you follow and enjoy and read Andy Frisella, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what if Andy Frisella, and I know he's not going to do this, but what if he said, "Hey, for $97 a month, I'm starting this community. You should be a part of it." He doesn't obviously reach out to Jeremy,
Right?
but he just puts it out online, right? And he's going to open it up for a month and see how many people join.
Yeah.
Right? Do you not think that a certain kind of individual is going to end up in that group? That you could be relatively certain they're a certain kind of person.
No, I get the value in that. But as far as like diving deep into relationship with, I just interact better in person. But like something like that, I'd be all in. Like
Yeah.
that, I'd have no problem joining it. But knowing my goal in that would be different than if we're in person.
To what end?
Well, in person, like I said, we're going to be sitting down. We're going to have coffee. We're going to have supper. We're going to have different conversation. Online, I have issues with the authenticity of it, right? It's just not that people are fake, but like the chances of that they could be go higher, right?
Sure.
If you're in
That I
person,
agree with.
if you're in person, you just have a different, and I'm just more in person for like that's just how I think, operate. And there's nothing wrong with
You're 100. It's fine.
like there's nothing wrong with that kind of stuff either. Like
Yep.
I don't see anything wrong with it, but I just
So
how I interact with people is different, right? So
and I was making jokes about baiting you before on purpose because I know that we think about this drastically different.
yeah,
And you're saying good things, like it's 100% true. For me, I think like the friendship thing, the group thing, is no different in my mind than how you cultivate not personal, in-person relationships.
I disagree. Don't think you're gonna put the same amount of energy on somebody online as you would in person.
Not time-wise, for sure not, because I'm not gonna.
You're not driving. You're not going out of your way for them. It's not inconvenience. It's just it's a convenience. Oh look, you just turn on your screen and there they are. Versus now you're gonna go out for coffee. Well now you got to book time. Now you got to actually it's gonna cost you something. It's gonna cost you time. It's gonna cost you money. It's gonna cost you something.
I build, and this is why I like arguing about this
Yeah.
with you because we're good friends and it's fun. But two of my good friends are both on the other side of this country, not this country, sorry, in a different country with much better weather.
Yeah.
That I've cultivated 100% online.
Yeah.
Now, here is my rule for that. I met them both in groups from people that were doing bigger things than I was, that I wanted to learn from, that did a group.
Right.
These people ended up in those groups. I then took time and energy to get involved in these groups and get to know them.
Right.
Right? Now, you are 100% correct. I don't know them the same way that I know you because you and I got to do coffees and you've been to my house, I've been to your houses.
Yeah. Many of them.
So that part is different. But I have a few people like that in the States who I've gotten to know very well. Two of them in particular, like I know them.
Right.
I know who their spouses are. I know their dogs, if they have kids or not. Like
yeah.
I know them. So all I'm saying is that I think that if you want to do online relationships, other people, it does work. But we're not talking about random Facebook people that you're just out there.
Right.
I paid to be part of different groups or was invited to be part of a group. And that group, because of who's leading it, cultivates a certain kind of individual.
No, I get that.
And so what I think the point that I'm trying to drive home here for our listener, single, because we lost the other one, is no matter whether you're an in-person person or an online person, there is a way that you can systematically build relationships.
Yeah. There's no excuse. Like if you really want it, you can.
That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah.
Is no matter what kind of person you are, if you want more people in your life that are pushing, doing big things, it is available to you.
Yeah.
No matter which one you're more comfortable with.
Yeah.
I happen to love both. Like, you and I met cold. Actually, a really good friend of, two of my really good friends, you being one of them, I met cold. Like, you and I met in a random group of like 6 people and built a friendship. One of my other really good friends, he cold called me when I was working in a different business.
Oh, interesting, eh?
And we built a relationship, and now he's one of my greatest friends.
Well, we are at that time, so holy smoke! I gotta let you finish this off. Take this out, and what are our 3 main points that we want to drive home?
Okay, so I rambled a ton in the last hour, so I'm going to try and tie it all together.
All right, you got 1 minute.
I got 1 minute, and then we're out. So, number 1, make a decision that you're going to get intentional with your time and energy. Number 2, start making a list of people or groups that you might want to be a part of, whether it be mentorship or friends. Thing number 3, and this is your take home work, your homework, is do 1 reach out this coming week to get yourself moving forward, because none of us want to be a remember when friend.
I love it. Take action. That's going to be how you're going to get there. So make a plan, put it into action. Don't stop.
We love you. See you next time. We're here for it. If you need us, send us a DM.